Chris Gonzalez just walked in and let him get set. Okay, you good? All right. All right, folks, good evening. Welcome to the March 5th, 2025 meeting of the Citizens Advisory Committee of the Transportation Planning Organization. My name is Rick Fernandez. I'm chair of the committee. Welcome. Those of you in the gallery and members of the committee, nice to see you folks. Not sure who we have online, but I guess we'll figure that out when we go through the poll. As is our normal practice, we're going to go around the room, starting to my left and all the way around. Ask everyone please to identify yourselves and your appointing authority, if you would. Again, Rick Fernandez, I'm the Hispanic at-large, or one of the Hispanic at-large representatives. Stephen?
Hi, everyone. Stephen Hollenkamp here, appointed by the city of Plant City.
Dana Lazarus, appointed by City Councilwoman Lynn Hurtak from Tampa.
Good evening, Joseph Citro, Commissioner Harry Cohen.
Clifford Reese at large.
Matt Sink, appointed by Alan Clendenin.
Good evening, Michael Carter, appointed by the Planning Commission.
Chris Gonzalez, member at large, Hispanic representative.
Chris Arnold, member at large, Native American.
Ed Majewski, appointed by the Expressway Authority.
Sarah Caper, TPO staff liaison for the CAC.
And online?
Online, we have one member, Idea.
Hello, Ivia Adams at large.
I did.
That's all the members online.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, would you be kind enough, please, to call the roll for establishing a declaration of quorum?
Yes, sir. Rick Fernandez,
Here.
Stephen Hollenkamp,
Here.
Dana Lazarus,
Here.
Joseph Citro,
Here.
Matt Sink,
Here.
Christina Costa may be virtual. Let's see here. Aya Yassin is excused. Bill Roberts, Don Skelton, Ed Majewski,
Here.
Artie Fryer, Linda Eubanks, Michael Carter,
Here.
Chris Vella,
Here.
Chris Gonzalez,
Here.
Dustin Johnson is excused. Ivia Adams,
She's online.
I know she's virtual. Yep.
Here.
Stephen Paul Jones is excused. Carmayata Alexander, Clifford Reese.
Here.
We do have an in-person quorum.
Okay, good, thank you. I count 10 in the room, just purposes of the record. Appreciate you all making it in. All right, that takes us to public comment. Anybody here in the gallery for public comment? See a lot of heads nodding no. Anyone online for public comment?
Anyone online? No one online.
Excuse me, Chair, I'm going to do a public comment. Okay,
I think that's inappropriate. He's a member of the committee. He has all the opportunities as a member of the committee.
Yeah, we've had this situation arise before. As I recall, we limited to non-committee members for public comment. And certainly, if you want to be recognized with a 3-minute comment as a member of the committee, I'll be happy to recognize you. Give me a moment to get to that.
absolutely.
All right. All right, we have no public comments. Chair's report. Quick. I just announced a couple of things that I got from Sarah earlier in the day. First of all, the staff has received responses on the CAC poll or member poll for the CAC. Member interest items prioritized. Believe Sarah may be ready today to give us some insights on what was found in the poll. And we'll get to that, I guess, later in the meeting. Also, there's been a flyer created on the CAC, which I think is at your positions at the desk as a tool to promote the committee and membership. Copies have been provided here in the room. I understand that the flyer made its official debut on Saturday at the Neighborhood Expo, and staff is working on some opportunities to use it for promotion membership. As far as actions taken by the CAC at the last meeting that were also addressed by the TPO board, the CAC recommended that the TPO board approve the fiscal year 25 through 29 Transportation Improvement Program, State Road 39 at Trapnell Road Amendment, and defer the State Road 674 at east of 27th Street Southeast intersection amendment. The TPO board approved both of those amendments. CAC recommended that the TPO board approve the amendments to Access 2050 LRTP, which was approved by the TPO board. And I think that takes care of the chair's report. All right, that takes us to approval of minutes. We all had the composite document for the February 5, 2025 meeting in your agenda package. Do I have a motion to approve the February 5, 2025 minutes?
Move to approve.
I have a motion from Chris Vella. Is there a second?
Second.
Came from, I'm sorry, Michael Carter seconded the motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? See none in the room. Is there any discussion online? Okay, I'll ask please for voice vote. All in favor of the motion, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. All right, please note that as unanimous approval of the February 5, 2025 minutes. Thank you. All right, we quickly come to action items. Before we hit that, Chris, you have something you want to say?
Yeah. Do I need to go to the podium?
No, you can do it from there. That's okay.
All right, I'll keep this as brief as I can. So, I'm on the fence. My name is Chris Vella, 33605. I'm on the fence about approving the acceptance of the PPP. I don't agree it's been effective for several years due to lagging and unconfirmed information between the TPO staff, our committee, and this board. This has led to misunderstandings of our projects in the LRTP and the TIP for significant public hearings. The last instance of this broken communication happened when the TPO staff and the committee appeared divided over a letter to be sent to Secretary Gwynn regarding the tentative work program. My turning point over trust in the PPP was when the TPO held an emergency hearing to remove the I-275 Boulevard concept study from the UPWP. To my knowledge, this meeting would have required an executive director's signature. At the time, Josh, Frank, and I were the only people able to attend this meeting in person. Attending this emergency meeting meant missing a critical hard public hearing that was scheduled in advance. The TPO expected attendees to choose between both hearings instead of extending accommodations. During this meeting, the TPO overturned nearly 4 years of my efforts to place the I-275 Boulevard study in a UPWP. For years, I and Tampa Heights residents have been impressed by APDOT on what solution we would offer to replace TP next. We got behind the I-275 Boulevard study, but it would seem both the TPO staff and the board were biased over what mattered to the community. I think the TPO's public input process needs to be completely rebuilt, to be honest and clear. Even with my own experience, I still don't understand the point of no return on the TIP, nor do I understand why APDOT got away with funding threats they openly admitted in the TIP hearing, or why this committee has recommended in a single motion to approve 2 projects that were located 35 miles apart, with no written guidelines on how staff puts together such recommendations. After the approval of TPNX, there's a line from the report in our agenda documents in regards to PPP. Quote, the TPO finds itself in a position of broken trust with some community members, unquote. So here's my response. Some of us try to remove ourselves beyond the negativity, but the TPO continuously failed to give us a chance where public input matters. That's it, my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, if you have that in a written form that you would care to submit,
Sure.
I'll ask staff to include it verbatim in the record,
Absolutely.
rather than relying on a summary. If you will.
Absolutely.
I imagine Gail would appreciate that too. Whoever's typing these things up these days. Okay, action items, performance targets for pavement and bridge condition and system reliability. Connor McDonald, PPO staff, there he is, you're live.
Yes.
I used to seeing you at the podium, you're always up there on the wall, nice to see you.
Absolutely.
Screen sharing.
Oh,
This is what happens when you show up in person.
Yeah. Sure.
There we go.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Good evening, committee. I'm Connor Travis McDonald. I'm here to present performance targets for pavement bridge condition and travel time reliability. So you may be familiar with the performance measures represented in January on safety performance measures. They're required, they were originally created under NOC 21 legislation. They're renewed times. Most recently by the bipartisan infrastructure. Today we're presenting 2 of 5 categories of the targets. Some others are safety of course, or I think another one is transit assets and transit safety. For bridge and pavement condition and system performance, they're set for a 4-year period. So we set these in April of 2023, and MPOs may update their 2025 targets if the state adjusts its 2020. So we're in that middle period. For pavement bridge condition, there are several metrics. For pavement performance, it's percentage of pavements on an interstate national highway system in good condition and poor condition. It's also the percentage of pavements on a non-interstate NHS in good condition and poor condition. And then for bridge performance, it's a percentage of any source bridges by deck area in good condition and in poor condition. So paving bridge condition methods that are evaluated numbers. For pavement condition, it depends on the type of material, so it being asphalt, joint concrete pavement, or continuously reinforced concrete pavement. Because that's super interesting to everyone. Bridge condition is calculated using National Bridge Inventory. Some major components of the deck, superstructure, substructure, culvert. It's important to note that the bridge condition score does not equal the safety of the structure. So if it's ranked in poor condition, that doesn't mean it's unsafe. So just a little idea of what we're talking about here, the NHS miles. Drop owns about 83% of this, followed by the Turnpike, via the jurisdictions have some small portions as well. So the pavement condition report card, after I set these targets on the left column, it's more than 60% in good condition. I won't go through all of them, but the TPO performance, the TPO targets set adopted FDOT targets as well in 2023. And we are meeting those targets now currently. So the recommended action, as you'll see, will be to continue adopting FDOT's pavement condition targets. So for advanced bridges, just wanted to give you an idea of who owns these. FDOT 80%, via 20%. The bridge condition report card, we are meeting the targets here as well. We adopted FDOT's targets in 2023. The change that FDOT is making is changing from no more than 10% of bridges in poor condition to no more than 5%. So that's the change there. There are also some projects in the tip to improve pavement and bridge condition. One being the resurfacing of Sunquist Parkway, Kennedy Bridge rehabilitation, resurfacing of I-275, resurfacing of I-75. There are several other pavement resurfacing and repair projects. Travel time reliability is the second performance measure I'm covering. It's also known as system performance. It's the dependability and travel times as measured from day to day and across different times of the day. So a concept here would be from getting to this building, county center to USF, will be 20 minutes, but it's a screenshot, but the travel time reliability is how often is that going to be 20 minutes? How much can I depend on that travel time being 20 minutes? And that's important, as you know, because if you're getting to work or childcare, it's important to know that I can rely on that same time. So it's viewed as a more meaningful metric than other congestion measures. It's limited ability to reduce traffic volumes. We have a limited ability to reduce traffic volumes, but we can engineer traffic flow. So high reliability, again, means that your travel time is consistent over a specified period, and low reliability would mean that your travel time varies considerably over a specified period. So the report card here, the interstate NHS reliability, we're meeting that target. However, the non-interstate NHS reliability and truck reliability, we are not. And you'll also note that FDOT, the non-interstate NHS reliability target has been amended to be more aggressive, while the truck travel time reliability has been amended to be less aggressive. We did set our own targets, and you see the TBO target in the second column. And we're recommending that we keep those targets the same. One just being for consistency's sake. Another reason being we don't want to move that bar when we're not meeting it, right? We should stay at the same. So there are also some TIP projects to improve reliability, one being the frame project, another being Palm River Road and 50th Street intersection. There's an ITS deployment on Gandy, some Kennedy Boulevard ATMS upgrades. So this is a mouthful, but the recommended action is to recommend to the TPO board approve the updated pavement and bridge condition target for the percent of NHS bridges in poor condition. So that would be that change that was highlighted from 10 to 5%. And maintain the currently adopted system reliability targets. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, well, are there any questions? Left side of the room, Matt St. Green.
Thank you for doing this presentation. I appreciate it. Got a question, just so I understand how it works. For the travel time reliability, where's the data coming from? Like, who's collecting the data and what data is that coming from?
Absolutely. So I'm not sure exactly how the data is collected, but it does come from FDOT and their source book is what it's called. So they report to the MPOs. That's also identified in what's called the consensus planning document. So it's outlined what the steps should be. And then in those steps that's outlined, FDOT provides the data for.
Got it. And then just because I don't know the acronym, can it be ATM update? What's an ATM?
Good question. Forgetting that, Sarah, do you know?
Advanced traffic mobility system.
Thank you.
And what does that mean? Thank you, and.
It's essentially like what we call smart cities projects. So ATMS would be like the technology, even down to like sign, you see the new signs on 275 that tell you how long it'll take to get to the airport or something. And so there's different methods, different technology methods that go into the roadway, and that's, hopefully to help congestion management, right? So increasing that reliability.
Got it. And on the same vein, ITS deployment on Candy, what's that?
Intelligent Transportation System.
And that is,
The same.
okay, so ATM and ITS are conceptually the same.
I would say so.
Okay.
Hi,
Thank you.
this is Rafael, Hillsborough County Traffic Management Center. So ATMS is actually the central platform that controls the traffic signals along the roadways. So think it as the main hub that all the traffic signal controllers, aka computers, connect to, being the server and the central system platform. So ATMS stands for Advanced Traffic Management Systems. ITS is basically what connects all the devices, is the sort of the guidelines that connects all the devices in the field through what is called ITS, Intelligent Transportation Systems. Just wanted to highlight that. So it looks like the ATMS upgrading the city of Tampa, which they operate and maintain the Kennedy Boulevard. They're planning to do, again, upgrades on their central system controllers, not the central system itself, which they run Centrax. It's the controllers in the field
Thank
with
you for that.
new, probably new devices.
Cool, thank you. That's very, very helpful.
All right, would the last speaker please identify himself for the record, please?
This is Rafael de Dios, Hillsborough County Traffic Management Center.
Hey, try that one more time slowly.
Rafael de Dios, Hillsborough County Traffic Management Center.
We have his information. Raphael's on some of our other committees.
Okay, cool. All right, left side of the room here. Any more questions? Dana?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I was wondering.
That,
Go ahead.
we'll talk about that later. So the travel time reliability, that's interesting. So is that looking at the same time of day on the same day of the week and how reliable, like how it's like if the average is like the same for that same time, same day. So the reliability part isn't necessarily, oh, I'm gonna get to where I'm going in 10 minutes. Because that's how fast I get there on the fastest day when there's no traffic, but it's, okay, so I know that it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it typically takes me 15 minutes, so I can rely on that being 15 minutes with a little bit of traffic every time that I leave at 4 p.m. That's it, that's interesting.
Anything else here, left side? Right side of the room, Christella?
I just have a question about the bridge. Does FDOT, have they indicated to you that they consider the overpasses technically a bridge on the highway system only? And I'm bringing this up because I think we have 21 exits and that would be 21 bridges plus the Hillsborough River. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's kind of a structural concern to me. Just kind of, I think they're kind of throttling a little bit low on the targets. So had they indicated that those are bridges to you technically, or are they not?
I can certainly follow up, but my gut instinct is that they are considered bridges. And the performance here in Hillsborough is at 0%, so none of our bridges are, including those overpasses, are considered to be important.
Okay. And then your rating system is like poor, fair, and good. Is that how that works?
I believe it's just good and poor.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ed Petruski.
When you get the whole, going back to the reliability thing, so what's it mean that the reliability is greater than equal to 75%? What does that mean?
Great question. So we consider it. Right, so the reliability is actually measured by person miles traveled, which is, it's more complex. So it's actually measured by how many miles are reliable. But the idea is that how much can I rely on my trip being the same time on the same day, or, the same time?
Yeah, I
Again,
get that, but how's it measured?
I believe like it would be through smart cities, technology, measuring like how one car, the time that one car gets from distance, but I'm not 100% certain, so I can follow up.
Or follow up to that, Ed?
No, I don't know what that means. Greater than or equal. What is it that's greater than or equal to 75%?
Yeah, I don't know
I
either.
have no idea.
Sarah, can you add, or is there a disembodied spirit on the mic that might be able to tell us?
I don't have any other information on this, but we can follow up again, or.
So if it helps with the measure is how many miles, the percent is how the percent of miles that are reliable.
And how's reliability defined?
So reliability would be defined as certain, I don't know what the threshold would be, but the threshold of it being the same time. And I don't know if it's like a percentage, over or below. an average commute time. But that's how.
I'll ask staff to please visit those questions just posed by Ed and see if we can get something out to us by an email responsive to that. All hands on deck. That'd be great. I'd like to hear those responses myself. Mr. Citro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. Thank you for this very useful information. How much of this was done independent study as opposed to FDOT?
So all the data is pulled directly from FDOT.
Directly from FDOT.
Yes, and then TPO staff, we review what the performance is. We consider, when we set the targets in 2023, we set them at the baseline performance so that we could, remain at that level. We didn't want to get any worse, but not committed to getting better. So we review that internally, and then of course we communicate with the committees of the board on our opinion.
Again, thank you very much for this useful information. I was just hoping that some entity outside of FDOT would be able to give us this information instead of FDOT just saying. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anything else in the room? Online, any questions?
Any questions online? No questions online.
Okay, we have the ask slide up on the wall, recommended action. Is there an enabling motion?
So moved.
All right, Dana Lazarus makes the enabling motion. Is there a second? Chris Bella offers the second. Is there any further discussion? See none in the room. Is there any other discussion online?
Anyone online?
Okay, the recommended action, I'm simply going to incorporate the language by reference. Gail, would you please call the roll?
Rick Fernandez,
Yeah.
Stephen Hollenkamp,
Yes.
Dana Lazarus,
Yes.
Joseph Citro,
Reluctantly, yes.
Matt Sink,
Yes.
Ed Mrzewski.
No,
I'm sorry, was that a no?
right?
Thank you. Michael Carter,
Yes.
Chris Vella,
Yes.
Chris Gonzalez,
Yes.
Clifford Reese.
Yes.
The motion passes 9-1.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Carter. O'Connor, I should say. Apologize.
No worries.
All right, takes us to action item B. This is tip amendments, park maintenance, site remediation and modernization. Phase 1, Hillsborough County Smart Traffic Network. Elizabeth Watkins.
Good evening, CAC, Elizabeth Watkins, TPO staff. 2 amendments for you today. And first, I want to acknowledge Raphael, who's on the call from Hillsborough County Public Works, as he's the project manager for the Hillsborough County Smart Traffic Network. And then, of course, the fabulous Jesus from Hart, who, if you have any tricky questions about the maintenance facility, I think he's got my back. Wanted to start off with a little bit of background about what the Transportation Improvement Program is. So this is a federal requirement that is a reflection of all federally funded and regionally significant projects within Hillsborough County that are anticipated to be funded over the next 4 years. And what's the value of this? How are we actually using the Transportation Improvement Program? Well, one, it's a tool for visibility to knowing where those federally funded projects and regionally significant projects, where they are in the pipeline and when we can expect different phases of work to begin. And then more on the procedural side, USDOT will check the TIP or the STIP for consistency before they push that button to release the funds to the agency. And you see my face every month bringing you TIP amendments. And
That's because the TIP is really a living document. Projects are constantly moving forward every single day. But we have to come back to the TPO board and committees whenever there is a substantive change, including a change in the project description, or if there's a change in project cost over $2 million. And additionally, as is the case today for the two TIP amendments, these are new projects that receive federal funds. And in order for the entities to access those funds, they must be in the Transportation Improvement Program. And to give you a sense of scale, there are about 125 projects in the TIP, and we roughly process about 35 amendments every year. I won't go into too much detail on this, but I know you're an inquisitive committee, so I wanted you to have a resource to kind of see the big picture of the transportation planning process and see all the different roles between local governments, MPOs, and states. But one thing I'll call your attention is, and the middle part of the diagram calls out the planning process. And you'll see many of the MPO's responsibilities are in planning. The bottom third of the diagram talks about programming, actually allocating funds to projects. And you'll notice the DOT has the majority of those responsibilities. So just wanted to emphasize that the TIP is largely a programming document, primarily for visibility of those federally funded regional significant projects. And my last overview slide is a little bit about that project delivery. We all know transportation projects take a very, very long time, and that is probably built by design. 1 mile of sidewalk and a signal costs $1 million. So there are many intentional steps in the process, lots of eyes looking at these projects, and it just takes a while. And I know this committee is very interested in different projects, and the time to really influence the scope and the design of a project is as early as possible. So planning, project development environment, processes, and then very early in design. That is the sweet spot and when to get your feedback to the implementing agency. Then lastly, I wanted to round out with what are your roles? So you all are dedicated volunteers that give hours of your evening every month. So what is asked of you in this process? So part of your role is to make recommendations specifically on the TIP, that information that's presented here, but it's not to actually approve projects. You might say, Elizabeth, is that just like semantics? But there is a very important distinction. The TIP is a summary of a project that is used for planning consistency, and actual approval of process of projects happens at legislative committees, whether that's in the Florida State House, at Tampa City Council, that has many steps in the process. The TIP is just one of many. One of your roles is giving feedback on projects early in project development. I often will take your feedback from the technical advisory committee, and send it over to our project sponsor. Say, hey, have you considered this? Can you look at this scope? Is there room in the budget? But the TIP is not a financial document. Yes, there are estimates in there, but it's not a budget, and it really doesn't influence funding decisions. So the TIP's kind of wonky, so I wanted to just kind of reiterate some of these things and provide some background. With that, I'll jump into the two amendments that are before you today. So the first of which is the Heart Heavy Maintenance Facility. This is a longstanding priority for not only Heart, but for our region. Their heavy maintenance facility was built over 45 years ago to service trucks, not even public transit buses. So it is teetering on its useful life, and it wasn't intended to maintain buses. So there are many challenges with the current heavy maintenance facility, including having outdated equipment, code concerns, inadequate space, and it often will have flooding, which is a safety concern for the important workers at Heart who keep that system running 24 hours a day. And these challenges present difficulties and operational constraints that constrain Heart in order to meet the important role of public transportation in our community. So this amendment is to fund phase 1 of that heavy maintenance repair and rebuilding project. It will include 3 specific elements. 1, addressing stormwater. As we mentioned, flooding is a big concern. We'll add a transit vehicle servicing lane to ensure that the mechanics can efficiently work on the vehicles. And it'll also include some security fencing around the perimeter. This is a diagram received from Hart that illustrates the schematic for what they're envisioning with the heavy maintenance facility master plan. So we briefly talked about phase one, but there will be phase two, which will include actually renovating and demoing the building and reconfiguring the site. At the last CAC meeting, you charged me with providing you some additional information regarding the purpose and need, funding, level of service, high injury network. I won't go through this, but know that that is in your packet, and I will continue to do so until you ask me otherwise. So it's actually changing with the tip. We are adding this project in to reflect that new discretionary grant that Hart won earlier this year. So in order for them to access the funds, this project must be added into the tip. Now segue to the second and final project for your consideration today, and that's the Hillsborough County Smart Network. The purpose of this project is to integrate that smart traffic technology to improve safety and mobility along 6 different corridors in Hillsborough County. It encompasses about 42 miles and 75 interchanges. And I know these arterials were chosen specifically for different criteria that Raphael can further elaborate if you're interested in, but given geographic purposes, Falkenberg is a parallel facility whenever I-75 backs up. So a very intentional process was used to identify these 6 corridors. And what it will include will be some upgrades to some existing hardware, including new traffic signal cabinets, advanced traffic controllers. Also be upgrading the vehicle detection systems. And then interestingly, it will also include 30 onboard units for school bus safety. So the idea is to install these units on school buses so that there could be transit signal priority for school buses. Currently, there's that ability for Hart buses. So an interesting part of the scope was to extend that technology to school buses. And then the last component of the project is a regional traffic data exchange with the idea of being able to push work zone information out through mobile apps to give drivers and other motoring public an idea of if a lane is closed or if there is a detour, proactively leveraging data to get that information out earlier. And like with the heavy maintenance facility, I kind of itemized purpose and need, funding, traffic counts, high injury network, and context classification if that is of interest for your conversation. So it's actually changing with the tip is that this project also needs to be added to include that $2.9 million grant so that Hillsborough County can capitalize on those funds and get them to work. And the recommended action before you today is to recommend that the TPO board approve these amendments, but my colleagues and I are happy to answer any questions.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you. Are there questions in the room? Dana?
For the heavy maintenance facility, the LF 5,839,000. Where's that? Is that new money? Where's that coming from? And what is LF?
It's kind of small, but it's local funds. So that'll be hard funding to imagine.
That's a 20% match. So the federals put 23, I think, 80%, and we put the 5, which is 20% of that's coming from our money at home.
Thank you. That's it. And I mean, I'm always curious what the specific funds are that are, the grant that was won, all that, not just like a code that says, so like if there's any way to include another column or just have a call out that says that as often as possible. That would be
Absolutely, you're to do that.
Other questions in the room? Matt?
Got 2 questions. When we talk about grant money and currently what's going on, federal money, is this already guaranteed money or should this be clawed back and go away? Like, how is that functioning?
So we are in interesting times. So at a high level, they're kind of the way transportation federal funding works. There's formula funding. Most of that goes to DOT. that is business as usual. The discretionary grants like these two, those are kind of on a case by case basis, and we're just hearing from our partners on where they are. So I don't know if Jesus knows any specifically, our Jesus, if they've heard anything more from FHW or FTA, but as TPO staff, we wanted to do our due diligence to get this in the tip, so when they get the green light, that piece of paperwork is handled.
Got it. Thank you. And then on the smart network, I think you said there's 5 or 6 streets that were determined. What data supported that this was the need?
Raphael, can you help me out?
So the data that supported this was not only travel time, but we're trying to support, again, safety and mobility. Sheldon Road is the #1 corridor on the high injury network. 56, it connects USF to multiple corridors in the county, along with Temple Terrace Highway, which connects to 301. 301 is utilized as a main alternate route for 75. 75 has multiple incidents throughout the day and throughout the week. And we are in charge of the traffic incident management portion of the TSMO master plan. So when it comes to the big picture, we are in charge of operating and maintaining about 600 traffic signals along the county. And these are the biggest corridors that we are experiencing problems with, along with other ones which FDOT is helping us upgrade the devices in the field. We're strategizing on, again, the need that we have. We have old, legacy equipment out there, old cabinets, old controllers, old systems, and we're trying to move forward, right, with technology. That's why we've been working with multiple projects by replacing the central system to a new one. We're working right now through that, which this attain grant will allow us to remove old cabinets along these routes, which will allow us to, again, put new devices and work with more capabilities, right? Providing priority to school buses, which in this sense will allow those kids to be on time more often than before. Work in the connected vehicle environment, right? And piloting that system, which again it's more like new systems in the whole region. And detection is one of those core devices that if we don't keep the performance of it, it's just like a sensor in a vehicle. If it doesn't work right, you'll be stopping there for no reason. So again, we're trying to increase the travel time reliability, which give us better performance. So and all that I said is just again trying to move us away from legacy systems, which we still have a lot of them in the county. And again, that was part of the equation, right, when we submitted for this award.
Got it. So does that mean there's an actual data set that shows this, or is this from just observation from people in the field?
No, we utilize travel time data from here. Here basically collects this information from Pro Vehicles. Here is owned by different automotive manufacturers and other sources. So all that being said, your connected phone vehicles, this data providers, they sell this information of about speed, mainly speed. There's no information, no personal information. All that data gets transformed and morphed into visuals, maps that are updated on a minute to minute. More, what we use is every 5 minutes. So we categorize the travel time, planning time index, all that as part of the equation, right? There's other locations that we, again, this application, we try to use safety portion. Sheldon is part of the highway high injury network. It's part of other project for improvements as part of the safety aspect of it. 56 along the same route. And we're trying to merge the data with other projects that our FDOT are working on. And, Temple Terrace, Falkenberg, and all this is part of multiple data sets that are already working on a dashboard that we put together for management and the TPO, which currently got access to it.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions in the room? Chris?
Yeah, so going back to the amendments part, what would you define as SCTPA and TMA in the chart? Would that fall under the MPO or TPO, or would that be a separate entity? And I'm bringing this up because I feel like a lot of their decisions also influence the tip, but they're missing from that chart. And I was wondering, like, if you would have to put them in that chart, where would they go?
That's a great question. I'll take a stab and then Sarah, maybe if you'll help me. So the SDTPA really just exists because there's an interlocal agreement saying these MPOs will work together. If there were a future regional Tampa Bay MPO, then they would fit in this box. But right now, the SDTPA doesn't really have a role in programming projects through a TIP or a STIP. I don't know if Sarah, if you have anything else to add.
No, I think you covered that really well, Elizabeth. They are created by an interlocal agreement of the MPOs, they would work together, and that's the SDTPA. The TMA is considered a subcommittee or a committee of the SDTPA, so they fall under that interlocal agreement as well. So that's kind of how they work right now, part of the process.
Okay. And like part two of my question goes back to this traffic technology talk that we're on 301 specifically. So I know FDOT is looking to widen 301 between Fowler and 56. And I don't know the timing of both this integration technology and the road widening, but if the technology aspect were to happen first, is there a chance that there could be a reevaluation on road widening? Because it sounds like to me that this technology is supposed to help congestion. So if we could help with congestion, it could push back expensive road widening. And those funds could be used for, I don't know, other things like improving sidewalks. So is there a possibility that like that could happen? Does that sound like it's feasible?
I mean, that sounds very logical, and I don't know, Raphael, if there's been any correspondence from your like traffic operations standpoint with like the public works and like FDOT. I know they coordinate all the time, and are looking at traffic data, but I don't know specifically, Raphael, if you can speak to Chris's question.
Yeah. So as part of our daily activities and it's part of our core service, right? We are in charge of the traffic signal timings, right? There's so much you can do with the signal timings. There's this term that it's being utilized a lot by our industry. It's called V2C, volume to capacity ratio, right? There's so much volume that you can pump through anything, right? Through a pipe or through a corridor. So when FDOT considers expanding a road such like 301, it means that they know that they're planning to input more volume into those lanes, which again, right now we just got a brand new signal turned on, which is 301 Stacy Road. And that's the last intersection to the north that is connected to our central system. Now, from that point on, it's a two-lane road all the way to Pasco County. What it's planned to be constructed on the north part of the county, that we're not part of that conversation. But I can speak to the facts that yes, there's a lot that we are doing to mitigate traffic congestion by utilizing these technologies. We are trying to get better at retiming corridors on a lower cycle. Usually it takes about 3 to 5 years to retime any corridor in the county. Right now we're up to 80 corridors. So that being said, yes, we're utilizing the technology to be smart, but you have to consider that the volume changes constantly through the day. Right now, those controllers on any given day from Monday to Friday, they can run up to 5 to 6 different things that can perform on a daily basis, right? And that's, you multiply that by 600 signals, you can imagine that yes, there's a lot in the that a lot that goes behind back doors, behind stage. But again, this is where we have to blend it in, and that's what we're trying to do, trying to use that technology to provide factual data that that goes along with the planning. Right now, what we're planning, it's the most actual thing that we can provide, because we're using data that was collected a year ago. Then we're planning to do the construction right away. Most of these expansion projects, they take years to plan. We already did it, right? Utilizing the technology that we have on hand. So what I'm trying to say is that there's so much that the road can handle. You can enhance, you can work with this technology, but this technology can also do so much. We help us, move traffic around when there's an incident. What we have, the active arterial management, right, and different strategies to move traffic around, but it doesn't help us, move too much volume through a little, a limited road. So again, there's some roads that will deserve an expansion. There's some others that won't. So again, I'm just trying to put those two things side by side, because we hear this concern a lot. And again, yeah, next thing that you can do is just to start building, 3D, right? Start building up instead of expanding. But again, that's where it gets tricky. So I don't know if that helped, but yes, there's a lot of moving parts behind it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, let me just note for the record, the audio quality in the room for that entire discussion, or at least for that entire input from the Raphael?
Yes.
Yeah, was horrible. I don't think I understood more than every third word. So when I asked, please, I didn't want to be rude and interrupt. Hopefully, Chris, you heard what you needed to hear. You're a little closer to the speaker.
It's honestly hard.
Yeah, no, it's hard. But if a presenter intends to utilize the services and the input from someone who's not going to be in the room, I'd ask please that staff make a little extra effort to make sure that we have audio quality in here that meets the moment. That did not. And I have no idea what he said, or if it has anything whatsoever to do with the vote that I'm being asked to cast, to be perfectly honest. So we wasted about 5 or 10 minutes of my time listening to that. And I'm sure Raphael has a lot of great things to say, but we didn't do him justice in this process. So it's my humble opinion, but that's where it's at. Okay, any other questions? Hopefully not for Raphael. In the room? Anybody have questions online?
Anyone looking? I see no online questions.
Okay. We're back up on the question. Yeah.
No, it's okay.
All right. Did you have anything? No?
It's a comment. Don't like this.
I love comments. Go ahead.
Okay.
I just made a comment. Go ahead.
I just know that the heavy maintenance facility needs about $100 million to become a safe facility. So this is great. I'm probably gonna make a motion to approve this, and, I hope we get more money for it.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
I do have, and maybe you were touching on this when you said something like we live in uncertain times, or I forget what your language was. Is the funding that we're talking about here, is it basically in the bank and available? Is there a possibility that could be frozen? Where are we?
So my understanding is neither grant agreements have been executed. Those awards are still out there, but the money is in the bank when the agreement is executed, and that has not happened yet. But one of the steps to get there is to get it in the tip. So this is one step that hopefully Hart, Hillsborough County will be able to execute that agreement.
Okay. Recommended action, recommend the TPO board approve the amendments to the FY 25-29 Transportation Improvement Program. Is there an enabling motion?
So moved.
Chris Vella makes the enabling motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Edward Jersky makes or offers the second. Is there any further discussion on the recommended action and enabling motion? See none in the room. Is there any further discussion online?
Anyone online?
No. Do we need roll call on this?
We do not.
We do not. All right, by acclamation then, if you would, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by saying nay. All right, please note that as unanimous approval. Thank you, Elizabeth. Raphael, if you're still there, sorry.
Sure, no problem.
Technology team. So let
Thank
them
you.
know.
Yeah, and I don't know if the issue is here or I don't know where Raphael is and what kind of tech he's using to communicate, but it might be on his end, Mike, but whatever, didn't work well in here. Okay, our next action item. Public participation plan measures of effectiveness report, 2022, 2024. Harmony McGee, sorry.
Good afternoon, good evening. I'm Harmony McGee. I'm the Community Relations Coordinator for the TPO. I'll be presenting the public participation plans, measures of effectiveness, and as you heard, it covers 3 years. So just a little background about the measures of effectiveness report. It evaluates public engagement, so it coincides with our public participation plan. And so it essentially measures how effective we were at implementing the public participation plan, which is our set of standards and procedures for public engagement. It also recommends improvements. So how can we continue to better our public engagement, whether that's opportunities we provide to the public or opportunities for them to provide feedback. It also demonstrates an interest in public input, so it just shows that we would like to continue to steward that public input that we receive. There are 4 performance measures, so visibility and productivity, participation opportunities, public interest and feedback, and response to public input. So we created a scorecard. This is our first year even trying to implement a scorecard. So for each of the 4 measures, we at least met expectations with exceeding expectations and public interest and feedback, which I'll touch on that. Scoring a little later, I would like to add that because this is our first year, we do have some tweaks that we want to make to this, particularly changing to more of a point system so that it's more comparable year to year. We didn't do that this year just because we also changed a lot of the ways that we measured the performance of the measures of effectiveness. So this is just meant to be an overview rather than something concise. So we'll start with visibility and productivity. It was important for visibility and productivity that we use a wide variety of mediums to reach the public and get in front of community members. So for Facebook content, our content was seen over 68,000 times. We had 760 media mentions, which that would be different broadcasts such as ABC Action News, the Tampa Bay Times, so interviews, articles. We had 165 tip signs posted and 30,000 mail flyers, which the tip signs were done in English and Spanish. For participation opportunities, we had 93 outreach events in total. 45 of those events were LRTP events. Our highest attended events were Leadership Tampa, the presentation we did at the school board workshop, and our LRTP presentation at Sun City Center. For public interest and feedback, these 4 topics were the topics that the public showed the most interest in. So the Access 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan, the Transportation Improvement Program, the Community Air Monitoring Network, and the Tampa Bay MPO. Now we'll transition to responses to public input. When we were analyzing this, we categorized them into 3 different categories. So there's recommendations, board actions, and external actions. A recommendation example would be the Tampa School Transportation Survey, in which we received feedback from school administrators regarding safety issues and school circulation. And in the final study report, TPO staff provided recommendations such as speed enforcement strategies. For board actions, a notable example is the Citizens Advisory Committees provided recommendations for changing the project rankings in the 2024 list of priority projects, in which the TPO board moved to had an action to implement those changes. For external actions, those are actions in which feedback was received at a TPO committee meeting or a board meeting, but it was an external agency that acted on that feedback. So an example would be how a citizen expressed concern that the Gibsonton Drive at Brentford Drive interchange project outlined in the LRTP was listed for a later year than initially planned, and Hillsborough County responded by ensuring that treatments be made to that interchange in the interim to aid in treating that area. For notable successes and collaborations, we have the Access 2050 LRTP, the Community Air Monitoring Network, and the FLIP and FLIP Junior programs, which FLIP stands for Future Leaders in Planning. So those are programs that we do over the summer with high schoolers as well as elementary school students. Notably, our Access 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan Public Engagement received an award from APA Suncoast for our outstanding performance. And this is also what attributed to our 5 stars in this category. Now, just a follow-up on the recommendations that were made on the previous MOE report. Some standouts was that we wanted to improve our clarification in the TPO purpose. So making sure the public understands what the TPO is and what we do. And so one way that we followed through with that was creating the infographic that you all received, which is now also widely available to the public via our website. I am also working on developing a short FAQ series that you all helped me with providing questions with, so thank you for that. That is in progress. For another recommendation was to utilize community groups, which we followed through with that via the Vision Zero Slime Water Study. We utilize focus groups rather than a survey to get that feedback. And then just overall building a culture of awareness was a recommendation in which the Community Air Monitoring Network has done a great job of doing that, which notably it had its first summit in 2024. Now we'll move to the 2025 report recommendations. Our first recommendation is to utilize ArcGIS Survey 123 to create surveys that are ADA compliant. For the tip signs, we would like to only require that tip signs be made for tip amendments and not roll forward amendments. We feel that it's redundant to have signs created for roll forward amendments since public engagement would have already been conducted for it. We would also like to combat survey fatigue by shifting the feedback prioritization, the quantity of feedback to the quality, which a strategy we would utilize for that is what you heard we talked about earlier with community groups. That would be one technique we would use to do that. So instead of doing a widespread survey, we would do something like a community group to hone in on more specific people groups within the community. We would also like to expand our online presence specifically on YouTube. We currently only post meeting recordings on the YouTube, but now that it has additional tools that can be utilized, we would like to create short educational videos to boost more engagement and educational purposes. For committee processes, we would like to conduct an assessment on the committee processes to ensure that decisions are influential and impactful when they reach the board. We would also like to develop a standardized process for meeting postponements, especially in light of the recent storms. So this would be a part of a larger emergency preparedness initiative. So today's recommended action is that we recommend the board accept the 2025 measures of effectiveness report. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions and comments from the room, Dana Lazarus.
Hi, Harmony. This is my area of expertise and it's my passion is public engagement and, so I feel like I have like a million comments, but I'm not gonna make them. So there's a slide, about using survey 123. I think that's fantastic. Survey 123 is great and it can be crowdsourced too. It says surveys that are ADA compliant. Do you mean a survey of ADA compliance infrastructure? Because the way it's written, it says surveys that are ADA compliant, which would mean the survey itself, has a text reader or something, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if you could go back like a few slides. This one. I just want to make sure that I understand for the record that this is saying you're going to use this survey 123 to go out to the community and do a survey of ADA compliance of infrastructure.
No, I apologize for the confusion in the wording. What we're trying to say is that we want to make surveys that are more accessible. So we ran into a few issues when we did the LRTP survey, and so we would like to transition to survey 123 to kind of better improve the survey.
Oh, instead of MetroQuest?
Yes.
Okay, I like that. I don't like MetroQuest. So this is good because the survey 123 is also something that you download on your phone and you can go out and take a survey of the location of different things in the community. So that's what I thought this was. So thank you for clarifying. Why fewer signs? I do have a comment about like the signs, like the in-person signs, the yellow signs, which would be on the next slide here. The yellow has never been good for me. I feel like they look like there's different color signs for different agencies and different purposes, but to the public, they all look the same. Like, oh, there's something happening with the government. I don't necessarily think there should be fewer signs. I don't know. So currently for the roll forward amendments, are we doing signs for those?
Yes.
And that's like a 30-day notice or a 2-week notice or something?
Yes, 30.
And what would be the purpose of not doing that?
It would just internally help reduce printing costs because it is expensive. And so because roll forward amendments they would have already had a sign anyways because they were TIP amendment. The funding is just rolling forward. So we don't see a need to do it just for the roll forward. It's not.
And I can clarify that a roll forward amendment to the TIP is a fairly administrative kind of thing. It's already in the TIP, like Harmony said, so it already has signed. But it gets caught between the difference of when the TIP is adopted and when the federal fiscal year starts. And so we do that roll forward. You see it every year because it's those projects that are caught in between that have to be put in, but they're already in. And so part of the thinking behind this one, as Harvey said, is they've already had signs. And so to have less signs out there, to not put them out for roll forward ones, but they would still have them that first time.
Okay, I still think there should be signs for roll forward amendments. That's just my opinion. I also think the signs should look more interesting somehow. It's just an opinion. Oh, and then a different topic altogether, on evaluating the effectiveness of public engagement, I think a way to be more effective and do more of a best practice with this is to look at how many in-person, face-to-face contacts you guys are doing. And kind of breaking it down by like in-person, face-to-face contacts. And, I'd also like to see the relationships that are being built. So the different community groups. And the different types of community groups, like people with disabilities, seniors, things like that, and the quality of those relationships. How often are you going to their meetings or interacting with them? And then the virtual stuff too. So like the creation of new materials, might be a metric, that you add. And I'll stop there.
Which some of those topics are outlined in more detail in the actual report. This was just meant to be like a brief overview, but if you want me to send you the specific pages, that information is on, I can't.
The in-person is just a really important metric. Like I would want to see that really highlighted.
Okay.
Meeting people where they're at is like the best way to get the word out there about the TPO and the work that you're doing.
Cliff Reese.
On your slide, combating survey fatigue. I just have a bit of a concern that shifting prioritization from quantity to quality, that's a good idea, but if you don't have online surveys, if you depend on only in person, I think you're going to get a microcosm of the people who are affected. Not everyone has the ability to take the time to go someplace, do an in-person meeting, so I'm not sure how you balance the two, but you need the online piece, otherwise you're gonna miss a lot of those people who just can't get to the in-person meetings.
Yeah, I think we intend for it to be a balance, not just only doing focus groups. I think it's more, so specifically like with the Vision Zero study, that was a very niche project. And so we didn't need feedback from a lot of people, just specifically that the people that lived on that corridor. And we found the people on that corridor to be receptive to the focus group. So I think it's also a collaborative effort, like reading, but the community is open to it. Thank you for the feedback.
Matt, you had your hand up?
I'm gonna go back to the signage thing. Just so I understand, do you guys have designated locations for, like, for signs, or, like, how do you guys determine where they go so it maximizes effectiveness? Because signage is really hard, if it's in the wrong spot. So just kind of curious what that methodology is.
Yes, we base the signage off of where the TIP projects are. So the people in that are living in that area are the ones that are made aware.
So we're talking like 2 signs in the neighborhood, or we're talking about like 35, like that's, I guess.
I think we base it off of like what's the most high traffic area along each corridor.
Yes, and it kind of depends also on where the project is located. So for example, for safety purposes, we don't put signs out like that require us to cross an interstate or something like that. So we also have to think about the safety of putting the sign out. So we balance what is a safe location to reach wherever the sign is, along with the visibility and then kind of the magnitude of that. And also we try to think about how well will that sign stay there, like putting signs out that aren't just going to blow away. So we try to balance a couple of factors there. We also put them sometimes at, for example, at intersections, we'll put them in multiple spots on the intersection so that you don't just get people driving like north south, that way people east west also see it. And then we try to also put out the signs in Spanish and English.
Got it. Okay, just curious, thank you.
Yeah, sure. And we're always looking for feedback. Like if you happen to see a sign that's like down or hard to read, you could always let us know so we know, like, don't put it there next time or put it there a different way.
Okay, more questions over on the left? Right side of the room, anybody? Chris, may I assume the comment you made earlier in the meeting about the public participation plan would be appropriate to attach to this presentation?
Yeah, it is. It's
Okay.
just my experiences and frustrations. Although, just on record, I did, and you're welcome to share that with the group, Sarah. I did transmit over a program that Governor Newsom is doing to get public feedback in regards to the LA wildfires. That's based on another program that's in Taiwan. And what that does really quickly is it's almost like a brain trust. A lot of people can go on the virtual town halls and just propose projects. So you can say, hey, my sidewalk sucks in my neighborhood. This is the street. And you would log in that comment. And then of course that will be read by staff and also the electeds in that community. So I just feel like having something more virtual based, that's a 24/7 town hall that we can input some stuff would greatly supplement this effort. Because I'm looking at the stop sign, that's only one word. And then I'm looking at a sign with a bunch of words. And I can tell you, when you're driving at an intersection, it is very, very hard to get that sign in your brain to understand, hey, there's a meeting that's going to be occurring. And nobody wants to whip out a phone while they're driving to scan a QR code either. So we have to look at this a little bit more objectively to get that brain trust and public confidence.
Anything else on the right? Chris, you good? Online?
Anyone? I think no on my phone.
Okay. Can you go back to the slide for the sign? I don't know why this was so popular. I have a question about it too. First off, a roll forward amendment. Maybe Sarah, taking off from what you just said a few moments ago. This is an item that's already in the tip, needs to be rolled over because it got caught somehow in the middle one year and the next for funding purposes, right?
Yeah.
But in that roll forward process, the line item is being brought forward again for consideration and review. So my thought is that if there were an item on the tip that I'm not particularly happy about, for some reason got shut down during the original tip presentation, perhaps in June, now it comes up for a roll forward amendment and I have another shot at it. Maybe there's been an election, maybe there are new people on the TPO board, maybe I can make a motion or through my elected representative, make a motion to strike it out. If the roll forward amendment isn't publicized, I would have no way to know that that opportunity even exists. And that's a concern to me. I think we should be given every opportunity to have our voices heard. And if a roll forward amendment is one such opportunity, then why restrict the public in that process? I had a personal experience with something similar, not here, but Architectural Review Commission. They had a hearing on a piece of property right next to my house. And they wanted to put a structure up that I was very opposed to. Long story short, the hearing was held. They did my opinion, a horrible job presenting it. The ARC had a lot of questions about it. Eventually, the presenter determined that if they kept on talking, they were going to lose. So they asked for a continuance. So now the item has been continued to sometime in April. The last word was April 1. I asked the historic folks, is that continuance going to be noticed? And it's not. So, you know, it's similar, obviously not identical, but a similar situation. If you showed up for public comment when the presentation originally went for the ARC, you would not know that necessarily there would be a continuance coming. Because it wouldn't necessarily have to be April 1st, which was the date that was identified at the hearing. I would have liked and would like to see that notice right where the original notice was, so people would know. So anyway, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but and I'm not sure how we would litigate this particular motion, if in fact anybody decides to make it. But I would suggest if an enabling motion is proposed, that it exclude the tip sign issue, or at least exclude the change related to roll forward amendments not being applicable for signage, for lack of a better way to say it. So, anyway, I'll shut up. Anything else in the room? Dana?
You made me think of something. So a lot of the public engagement is done by consultants. And not all the consultants are very good at it. A lot of them are not.
Order 6 months.
Yeah, and then they get awarded again and again with new contracts and continue to do an inconsistent job or just a bad job. And so one of the things that all the way back to like 2018, when I like worked here, that was trying to like get implemented, and I think it was at one point, but we could revisit it. Post-meeting evals. And not just post-meeting evaluations for public meetings, but even like this meeting. Having like a half sheet with standard questions, standardized questions, even like something numeric, 1 to 5, how good was the meeting, something that you can like actually see, and it's a metric for your year of how people rated public engagement meetings. And then like a blank space at the bottom with any additional comments, because if Rick hadn't said anything, I would love the opportunity to write on a post-meeting eval that I couldn't hear a presenter and make sure that, you know, potentially can get heard by somebody, just as an example. But I think also it would help evaluate your consultants when they do their public engagement meetings. I know public engagement consultants that I really love in the area and ones that I don't. And I just think it would be great to get some higher quality work out there with our engagement. So the post-meeting evals would be an easy way, have it online and caching. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions in the room? The online folks still quiet?
Anyone online? They are still quiet.
Okay. Hope we're not boring you guys. All right, and go back to the ask slide. All right, recommended action, recommend the board accept the 2025 measures of effectiveness report. Is there an enabling motion?
I'll make
I'll motion to approve. Okay, Stephen Hollenkamp makes a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ed Fedorski offers a second. Is there discussion? Dana?
I make a motion to amend the motion.
You can, that's what Roberts tells you, you can, that's absolutely right.
Okay. I'd like to motion for an amendment to the motion. To recommend approval. Including some of the main points of the things that we said tonight, including. Not including removing the signs for roll forward amendments. And I think specifically including a post-meeting evaluation. Those are the two things that stick out to me, and selfishly, the thing that I recommended, I think is very important. So that is my amendment to the motion.
Okay, so Dana Lazarus has offered an amended motion. Is there a second? Cliff Reese offers the second. Is there a discussion on the motion? I see no discussion in the room. Is there discussion online?
Online? Nope.
The amended motion is up for vote then. Do I need a,
To clarify, up for vote is the motion to amend the motion.
the motion to amend is the first issue litigated, yes. Do we need a roll call on this?
Only if you desire one.
Okay, well, I desire one then. Gail, would you please call the roll on the offered amended motion?
Of the motion to amend the motion.
On the motion to amend.
Yes, sir. Rick Fernandez,
Yes.
Stephen Hollenkamp,
No.
Dana Lazarus,
Yes.
Joseph Citro,
Yes.
Matt Sink,
Yes.
Ed Mrzewski,
Yes.
Michael Carter,
Yes.
Chris Vella,
No.
Chris Gonzalez,
Yes.
Cliff Reese.
Yes,
The amended motion passes 8-2.
Okay, thank you.
The motion to amend the motion.
The motion.
Yes, the motion to amend,
passes.
yes, the motion to amend the original motion passes 8-2.
Now we're back to the original motion as amended. Call the roll, please.
How does that differ?
The amended motion effectively struck two items, as I recall,
Right.
from the original proposed slides. So now we're going back to approve the motion made by Stephen Hollenkamp with those strikes that were just voted on in the amendment.
Correct. So what we just did was take action to include those amendments into the motion for action.
If 10 items were recommended, the amended motion struck two of them. Now we're going back to 8. That helps. Okay, we're on the original motion made by Stephen Hollenkamp as amended. Roll call, please.
Rick Fernandez,
Yes.
Stephen Hollenkamp,
Yes.
Dana Lazarus,
Yes.
Joseph Citro,
Yes.
Matt Sink,
Yes.
Ed Mrzewski,
Yes.
Michael Carter,
Yes.
Chris Vella,
No.
Chris Gonzalez,
Yes.
Cliff Reese.
yes,
The amended motion passes 9-1.
Okay. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Harmony.
Thank you.
It's been real. Okay, that concludes our action items. We're now unfinished business. Next CAC meeting is April 2nd at 6 p.m. I think, Sarah, you have some information for us on the future topics survey, yeah?
Yes, I do. So thank you to all of the CEC members who completed the poll on future topics, and to those who submitted a form by requesting new topics. We had 10 responses on the member interest poll of items that were previously suggested. We had a very clear favorite topic, which was the Brightline location update. We will have information on that. We won't have the location itself, but we'll have an update to you on Brightline at your next meeting. That had 9 people selected, or 9 votes. The next 2 items were tied at 5, and that was safety and bicycle pedestrian investment and traffic signals and emergency vehicles. So we will also be presenting to you in April, schedule permitting, some updates on safety and bicycle pedestrian investment. I will be working on scheduling traffic signals and emergency vehicles in the future. As we get through the items on your list, when we get to a point where we're running lower and we have a lot, we have 9 already on your ones to add, we'll do another check-in with you to see which ones keep going towards the top. And if anyone needs the link, I'm happy to share it, or if you'd like it included in future agenda packets, we can do that. Just let me know. And I wanted to give a reminder that we do office hours. If you ever want to schedule them with me, you have the link in your agenda packet. And I think while I have the floor, I did want to share, the chair mentioned his report, the CEC flyer that we provided to you. That was a request that we got from you guys. And so we really appreciate that feedback. We're gonna look at opportunities. We heard from you on some places to share it, and we're working on some places to share that in addition to the Neighborhood Expo, but we wanted to hit that expo because it is a pretty big county event. And we're happy to share that flyer with you if you want a digital copy. We also put your seat and for the entryway lid flyer, which Hermione mentioned in her presentation. If you know of high school students who are interested in planning or want to learn more about it, this is a great time to share that, and we'd love to have them apply or learn more about it if they're interested.
Good, thank you. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Any other business?
I'll try not to make this controversial, but if in your agenda packet, there's the DOT order. In that DOT order, I urge you guys to really read it. They're gonna disregard carbon, which in my opinion is a big deal when you have transportation. They're gonna give preferences to states that have high marriage rates and more babies. If you're concerned about the elderly having mobility, that could be an issue as well. And then there's of course immigration. So with all that said, I think what would be helpful is, this might be more directed towards staff, is like, how is this order going to impact the type of money that is set aside for projects in the future, like in a tip? Meaning that, is it probable that we might see some type of new metrics that rank projects in a priority in tip? And also, would there be potential funding for immigration control through FDOT? I think it's important just to ask these questions because we're in uncertain times and this is a very controversial issue, but I think it'd be in the benefit for us to know to get that discussion with the board.
And let me just comment, it's not FDOT, it's the US Department of Transportation.
Correct.
But unfortunately is reflective of many of our concerns right now.
Right, but I would imagine the FDOT would carry out the water for DOT. They would be probably our first. Yeah, I understand.
Right now, we don't have a lot of updates on this. We'd be happy, I'd be happy to take this back and see what we can provide, but right now we're not getting a lot of information. So I can keep track and put this in the queue, but we might not have anything right now.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Chris. Any other comments, issues for the good of the order? See nothing in the room. Anybody online?
Anyone offline? I see none.
You folks ready to adjourn? Sure. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Super attorney.
We're adjourned.
So-